Okay, I've got my water. Actually, it's coffee. But anyway, so this slide here is that what the proficiency scale looks like. So what I kind of like about this is, and the book does it different ways, and we've talked about threes, 3.5s, fours, 4.5s, different things like that too. So those are conversations we can have later. But just kind of look at this here. So on this type of proficiency scale, this school decided to have 3 as their A and 4 as like an A plus. So 4 is above and beyond. So I kind of like that. So that's something maybe we can talk about in the distant future. But first, I want to have a better understanding of standards and grading before we talk about changing our numbers again or anything like that. But so if you look at number 3, the student will interpret it. That's the standard. The student will interpret information presented visually, orally, quantitatively. Examples, charts. You can read that. That's the expectation of mastery. As the 4, in addition to the score of 3 of performance, the student demonstrates an in-depth inferences and applications that go beyond what is taught. So that's like the A plus. I know some of you have asked, like, how do we get to an A plus? What incentive do students have to do more than the expectation? So that's that. So a 2 in this example. Here's what the student will do in order to get towards mastery or understanding. So I kind of like that because you could, just like when we talk about your proficiency scale for evaluations, it gives you, so if you see where distinguished is, it gives you 4 bullet points, proficient is 3 bullet points, basic is 2 bullet points, and unsatisfactory is 1 bullet point. Kind of the same thing, so you can break up that standard into achievables so that kids don't have to think it's too big of a bite and can't finish it. So like, okay, if I can start with a 1, then I'll get to the 2, and then I'll get to the 3. Maybe as the week goes on, and then on the Friday of the we're done with that assessment or that standard, we move on. The kids can have more of a cut up steak instead of a big steak. Try to eat in one bite. So kind of take a look at that, read it, think how can I make it so that my priority standards are broken up so that they're more achievable to students, and students understand what they have to do and what they have to know in order to get that grade, instead of finish the assignment and get 80% on it. Okay, and then next, what do we have going on next? I'm moving here. Next, we're going to have you guys practice. So I'll have a video for that too. Actually, I don't think I need a video. I'll just tell you here. So the next slide is you're going to practice it. You're going to go back into your groups, 1, 2, and 3 that you started with earlier when you went through the questions. And I want you to just, in your group, choose one priority standard from one group member. And then using the handout provided, create a proficiency scale that will help your students to know what is supposed to be learned from that standard. So again, take that standard. Hopefully it's a good standard. If it's not, create a good standard from it. That can be broken up into 4 or 5 different pieces to different levels of proficiency and understanding. So again, it could be a priority standard, and then that could be 4, and then 3 could be pieces of the supporting standards. However you want to do that, that's part of your work that I want you to do. And then this will be work for the PLC to continue as a group for the rest of the school year for all your standards. Because eventually it'd be great if, like I know Daryl and health occupations and some other people do portfolios. That would be great to have those proficiency scales in there, so that in each portfolio, so that the kids can go back and reference it and know what's coming, what's happened, so that they're all right there so they can flip through. It also helps with when we talked about standards-based grading versus standards reference grading. If we have these proficiency skills, the students don't need you as much. They can look at that and say, okay, so here's what I need to do for this next one that's coming up, because I just finished this on Monday and we're not starting the next one until next Monday, but I want to get going and not sit around. So this might help some of that issue of moving towards actual standards-based grading instead of standards reference grading. So that's kind of my long-range plan. So please get in those groups, create a proficiency scale for one priority standard, and kind of see how that goes.